Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is my December TBR, but there's tons of books I'm going to talk about, so it's probably going to seep into January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August. I don't know, but these are the books that I'm going to be considering in December, and some of them are specific to an event or something I'm doing, but there's loads here for me to choose from. I mean, technically, there's even more over there that are my immediate TBR, but this is the stuff that I really want to consider seriously for December, all right? So, it is already December, and I haven't finished this yet, so I'm in the middle of this. So this is David Cronenberg's Consumed, and it's a interesting book. So I don't know if I'll do a separate book review once I've read it. I might do. It's very interesting, and I'm reading it kind of at the same time as Celeste from Bookbound Weirdo and MJ from Reading This Life, although they both, well, MJ's definitely finished it, and I think Celeste is ahead of me, but we're doing it as a kind of a group read. So, yeah, I'm a huge fan of David Cronenberg's films, and reading this makes me want to do a video about him, so I'm probably going to do a video about him in the next couple of weeks. But anyway, whether or not this is on the back of this and I talk about the book as well, that might happen. But I'm in the middle of this anyway, and I haven't finished this yet, so I need to finish this anyway. I'm also in the middle of this, and this is really good. So I've almost finished it, to be fair. So this is really, really good, and it won't take me long to finish it. They're short stories, so I just left it for a while, but I had read most of it, so I need to finish this. So I do want to finish this in December, and those are the ones I'm reading at the moment. So from now on, the books I'm going to mention are books I haven't, that I want to start and finish. So I've announced a thing that I want to do on here called Winter of Wyndham, which a few people have joined in on, which is fantastic. So there are a few other booktubers that are doing Winter of Wyndham. So massive thank you to them. So that's great. I don't know if I can be able to list them all in the description, but a genuine massive thanks to the people that are doing Winter of Wyndham. And it's just like in December, January and February, let's read some John Wyndham because he's awesome. So for that one, for December, I haven't read Chucky yet, so I want to read Chucky. That's my first choice of what I'm going to read. So we'll see how we get on in December. January, I might be able to read more than one book by Windom, but I'm definitely going to read this one in December, so that's my plan. So Chucky, if you haven't read Chucky, read that with me if you want. And there's a couple of other things I'm going to get involved in if I can. So to be honest, if I finish those books and read Chucky and read the ones from these two events, that will probably fill up my whole December. So there's a whole pile over there I want to get to. I usually read about 7 or 8 books a month, so it's going to get a bit tight. But anyway, the first event that's someone else's event that I want to acknowledge, get involved in December is the DNF December. So I think this is MJ's idea. I think from Reading This Life, I think it's MJ's idea. And I don't DNF very often, but it did make me think, yeah, it'd be quite cool. So in the middle of the year, I buddy read this, Female Man by Joanna Russ with Dave and Olive from Book Blava, and both of us DNF'd it. We both said, nah, it's doing nothing, and it was actually putting me off reading because I didn't like the way she'd written it. So even though I was really excited about reading it, I wasn't enjoying it at all. So I'm going to pick it up again in December this month and hopefully finish it, but certainly not impressed at the minute, but very important book, so I want to finish that. And I thought, oh, I haven't really DNF'd that much, but there was a book I DNF'd. I didn't get very far in it, so I don't know whether that means it's not really a DNF, because I literally only got about 10 or 15 pages into it. But this was a book that I bought because I read the back of it, and it looked really good. But I just it didn't click in the first little bit I read, so I just put it down. So I was going to pick this up again this month. A Horse Walks into a Bar by David Grossman. Let me know if you've read this, because I think it's literary fiction. I think it's quite an interesting concept and an interesting way of writing, and I think it's going to be quite unique when I actually read it properly, from what I gather. But please tell me if you've read this and if it's as challenging and groundbreaking and interesting as I think it might be. Yeah. Horse walks into a bar. It's I think it's based around cutting edge, controversial comedy, stand-up comedy, I think. So anyway, those are the two books that I can get involved in for the DNF December. There's also Remember December, when you reread something. So as I said, if I do those things and I do these next few books, that's probably going to be my whole month. So they are books I want to read, so it's all good. I don't think I'm going to be gutted if that's what I read. But I recently took it on myself to reread the Faflin Grey Mauser Fritz Lieber Swords series, and I read Swords Against Deviltry, and I put up a couple of videos about it. I put up one video when I read the first ever story, and it was really nice to get back into it, and I was just commenting on the fact that I was going to read through them. And then I think I might have commented in the monthly wrap-up, to be fair, on the other one, on the whole book, not sure. But anyway, I've only read the first one again a couple of months ago, but I want to read book 2 now. So, Swords Against Death. The Swords series were huge for me when I was a teenager, so it's been quite a while, but they've always been something I've been fond of as memory, so I thought this is a good reason to read them again so that I can enjoy them again. And I was a bit unsure when I read the first book again whether or not before I picked it up again, is this going to be something that I liked then and not going to like as much, but I really did like it, so I don't think they're dated for me. So book 2, I want to read book 2, Swords Against Death. That's my plan. And I want to read Persepolis, and this is because I want to read it with like a little bit older, and read it in a different, like with more maybe with more attention to detail, maybe read it a little bit more seriously, maybe. I don't know. I'm not sure what was wrong with the way I read it the first time. I did like it, but I don't know. I want to read it again anyway. So Persepolis, I'm just waffling, but I want to read Persepolis again. And if I can, I'd like to read Make Room by Harry Harrison again, because when I did my big great unhaul and I went through all of my books, I realised how many Harry Harrison books I've got. I've got tons. So I would like to do some stuff about Harry Harrison next year on the channel, but this is probably his most serious book and probably his most celebrated book as well, and it's been quite a while since I've read it. So I deliberately bought this new edition because I've got a very an old vintage edition, but I thought it would be nice to have a new edition, and I bought it because I wanted to read it again. So I want to read that. And to those that remember December books, and big nod to Dave and Olive, I do need to read this because we were going to buddy read it a while back and we still haven't got to it. I think the original plan was about September time, and it's well past September, so it's about time I read this. I think I'm aware that if I did read it, it would take me quite a while because it's a chunky one, but I do really like Adrian Tchaikovsky, so I am definitely looking forward to it. And yeah, so I do want to read this. So Dave, I've got it on my TBR. So yeah, there's those. And then I was just going to go through some others that if by some miracle I read incredibly fast. But also, to be fair, I do break up in a couple of weeks. So I'm away from college for a couple of weeks. For a couple of weeks, in a couple of weeks. So I should get some more reading in December done from that perspective anyway. But also December gets very busy with Christmas, and there's sort of social events, and there's family get-togethers and stuff. I've got a few gigs in December, and I need to. They're different bands as well, so I need to rehearse a very long set for New Year's Eve as well. So December can be quite busy as well. But I'm just going to throw some more out there that I want to read. So as part of my love of Hiromi Kawakami, I want to read this one because I think this is the only one I haven't read by her. So I've read 3 others, and as far as I know, she's only written 4 books. So I need to read this one, and I really would like to read it because I think she's a really interesting writer. So there's The 10 Loves of Mr. Nishino. I'm a huge fan of Little Fuzzies, and I recently, well, I say recently, a few months ago, but it seems recent to me, I found the sequel in a secondhand shop. I couldn't believe it. I was well excited. So I would like to read the sequel to Little Fuzzies. I really like Little Fuzzies a lot. And I tell you what, while we're talking about vintage science fiction, there's a few here that I pulled out because if I can get some room in there for a bit of vintage science fiction, there's a few books that I'd really like to read. So there's like things like Beyond the Barrier by Damon Knight. I think Damon Knight's really interesting, and this was one I picked up, which is... he reached for Chiran's throat and his hands closed on air, yet the alien had not moved. With a chill of terror, Naismith realised that his arm had passed completely through the ugly green-skinned body. The alien's laughter swelled out, malicious and mocking. Behind him, Lau's voice said, "A nice try, but not good enough." That's the back. I don't think it tells you that much about the plot. It's like a teaser trailer. But anyway... Beyond the Barrier, Damon Knight, is one vintage science fiction book I could read. Theodore Sturgeon, who I've always enjoyed, Venus Plus X. I would like to read that as well soon. So that's one that I've got on my immediate TBR as well. It's quite short as well. Could be a thing. And then this one, Gordon R. Dixon's No Room for Man. Another one about overpopulation. If I can read a bunch of overpopulation books with too many gaps, so they're all up there and I've retained the information. It'd be nice to do a video about overpopulation books. So this has got a really interesting red tint on the pages. But No Room for Man, Gordon R. Dixon. I want to read that. For finishing off the 2023 Historathon, there's definitely some books here that I should be able to get to. I'm very optimistic about this because I'm going to start this one tomorrow. And I'm going to read this in between reading these others. And that's the David Mitchell book about the Kings and Queens of England. So this has only just come out. And I got this just before the Read What Your Own challenge. And I think David Mitchell's very funny. But I wouldn't normally read history books about kings and queens. My interest in history is different. But I've read some of it. And it was very amusing. And I know he's done his research. So I think it's going to be good. So I was sold on it. So yeah, David Mitchell's Unruly. Definitely want to start that tomorrow. And there's a couple of books about immigration that I've talked about before. I think this one's the first one I'm going to read, Balti Britain, which as you can see I got it from the library. The shiny... It's a library book. So Balti Britain, I want to read this. And if I can read this one and this one, which I don't know if I'll get to both of them in December, but it'd be good to do a video about the immigrant experience in Britain through these books, if you like. Just comment on the books and have that as a bit of a theme. That'd be nice. So I do want to read that. I want to read Noam Chomsky's book on Palestine. So this would be a reread, to be fair, but I want to read it again anyway because of everything that's happening in a minute. And I'm getting involved in the books about Holly, an event that I think has been created by Greg from Another Bibliophile Reads and Jess from Bad is Rad. I think those two created the event. And the first book is Mr. Mercedes. I've got all the books that talk about Holly, I think, except the new one. So by the time we get to that, hopefully that I'll have that. But I've got the first trilogy anyway, the Mr. Mercedes trilogy. I've got that. So I want to read this. And hopefully I can read that in December as well. I was going to pick up another couple of books, but this is ridiculous. So I've just talked about 17 books. So I'm not going to read 17 books in December. So that'll do, I guess. So I could talk about these other ones another time, I think. So that's my plans for December. So, as usual, a bit of history, a bit of science fiction, some Stephen King, some social commentary stuff, and some thematic stuff, and some book events. Got to finish the books I'm reading, some rereads. Have you read any of those books? Let me know what you think of those books. It's going to be a good month. I always like December. It's a good month. I like Christmas. I've decided not to do Vlogmas because it felt a bit weird because I think what I can gather about Vlogmas is it's about people getting excited about putting decorations up and stuff like that. And I do like Christmas, but I don't spend ages thinking about decorations and putting them up and putting them all around the house and lights up and stuff like that. It doesn't feel like it fits with my definition of Vlogmas, but I'm probably completely wrong. But anyway, I do like December. I do like Christmas, and I'm looking forward to a bit of free time. I'm quite permanently tired at the moment, so I'm looking forward to not being at work for a little while. And some live streams are going to happen soon. I've got a plan to do something really interesting as a live stream with a bunch of guests for the Christmas period, so look out for that. But in the meantime, let me know what you think about those books. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye.